What if I told you that you could be in the United States and still be south of a significant portion of Canada? Or that Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula is dotted with thousands of sacred sinkholes? North America is a land of breathtaking landscapes, from the towering Rocky Mountains to the lush rainforests of Costa Rica. With vibrant cities like New York, Vancouver, and San Jose, the natural wonders like the Grand Canyon and Niagara Falls, this continent offers a rich blend of history, culture, and adventure. So get ready to unpack 35 insane facts about North America's geography that will blow your mind. Starting with number 1. When you hear pyramids, your mind probably goes straight to Egypt. But, plot twist, the largest pyramid in the world by volume isn't in the deserts of Giza, it's smack in the middle of Cholula, Mexico. This behemoth is called the Great Pyramid of Cholula, and it's huge, with an estimated total volume of 4.45 million cubic meters. Over centuries, different civilizations kept adding layers to it, until it became this massive, jungle-covered mound. It was so overgrown that when the Spanish arrived, they didn't even realize it was a pyramid. Instead, they built a church right on top of it, where it still stands today. A literal church on a hidden pyramid. You can't make this stuff up. Number 2. North America is famous for having every single climate zone. Starting up north, you've got the icy Arctic tundras of Canada and Greenland, where polar bears roam and ice rules the land. Move south and you'll wander through temperate forests in the eastern United States. Keep going and suddenly you're baking in the deserts of the American Southwest and Mexico, where cacti and scorching sun dominate. Then you'll find yourself crossing the endless grasslands of the Great Plains, wide open and windy. And finally, push even further south to encounter the tropical rainforests of Central America and the Caribbean. Whether you're into ice, sun, rain, or snow, this continent's got you covered. Number 3. Now imagine dipping your hand into the water at night and it starts glowing. Sounds like a sci-fi movie, right? But this actually happens in parts of the Caribbean, thanks to bioluminescent bays. One of the most famous is Mosquito Bay in Vieques, Puerto Rico. The water here is filled with tiny microorganisms called dinoflagellates. When disturbed, whether by a paddle, a swimming fish, or your own hand, these little guys light up bright blue-green as a defense mechanism. The effect? Every splash leaves a glowing trail behind, like stardust on water. It's honestly one of the most magical experiences you can have. Nature's very own light show. At number 4. When you think of the biggest city in North America, you probably picture New York City, right? Well, surprise, the real heavyweight champ is Mexico City, with nearly 22 million people packed into its metro area. And get this, it's not just a modern thing. Mexico City is built on the ancient ruins of Tenochtitlan, the Aztec capital that was already a megacity in the 1500s, boasting around 300,000 people when Madrid was just a small town. So yeah, while NYC is iconic, Mexico City's got centuries of urban swagger under its belt. Next time someone brings up big cities, hit them with that fact. Number 5. Is Greenland actually a part of North America? You probably think of Greenland as that big icy chunk somewhere near Europe, right? But actually, Greenland is part of the North American continent, geologically speaking, since it sits on the North American tectonic plate. It's the world's largest island that's not a continent, with a total area of 2,166,007 square kilometers. And yes, it's even bigger than Alaska. But here's the irony. Over 80% of Greenland is covered by ice, and its name is basically history's greatest case of false advertising. Vikings called it Greenland to make it sound nice and lush, but spoiler alert, it's mostly snow and ice. Classic sales tactic. Number 6. If you're a fan of lakes, then North America is your playground. This continent has more lakes than any other, and Canada alone boasts over 2 million of them. That's not even counting Alaska's hefty share of fresh water. In fact, roughly 62% of all the world's lakes are in North America, thanks to the handiwork of the last ice age. When those massive glaciers retreated, they carved out the land like a giant ice cream scoop, leaving behind countless basins that filled up with water. Today, if you ever fly over northern Canada or Alaska, you'll see a patchwork of blue spots as far as the eye can see. It's basically a giant natural water park. Number 7. Speaking of lakes, let's zoom in on one lake in particular, Lake Superior. This isn't just any lake. It's the largest freshwater lake in the world by surface area, covering over 82,000 square kilometers, 31,660 square miles. It's so huge that you could fit all the other Great Lakes inside it and still have room for 3 extra Lake Eries. That's mind-blowing. Lake Superior is so vast and deep that it behaves more like an inland ocean than a lake, complete with its own weather systems and famously unpredictable storms. It borders Ontario in Canada and 3 U.S. states: Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. If you ever visit Lake Superior, don't expect to see the other side. It's water as far as the horizon stretches. Number 8. Now, let's talk about coastlines. You probably didn't know this, but Canada actually holds the world record for the longest coastline by far, thanks to its sprawling geography and more than 52,000 islands scattered across its territory. Canada's coastline stretches a jaw-dropping 243,792 kilometers. To put that in perspective, if you decided to walk around the entire thing, clocking in 19 kilometers a day, it would take you about 30 years to finish. Yeah, you'd need a lot of snacks and probably a few pairs of shoes. It's an incredible testament to just how vast and rugged Canada's geography really is. Number 9. But hold on, Alaska wasn't going to let Canada have all the coastline glory. Alaska alone has a coastline longer than all the other 49 U.S. states combined, over 53,108 kilometers, when you include its 2,600-plus named islands. That's right, this one state beats the combined shorelines of everywhere from California to Florida. Alaska faces both the Pacific and Arctic Oceans, offering some of the most dramatic, icy, and untamed coastal scenery you'll ever see. And yet another reminder that Alaska is America's ultimate wilderness. Number 10. Okay, sports fans, this one's for you. Did you know a bunch of the world's favorite sports actually started in North America? Yup, basketball was invented in 1891 by a Canadian, Dr. James Naismith, who famously nailed up peach baskets in a Massachusetts YMCA. And just like that, basketball was born. Then there's baseball, American football, ice hockey, volleyball, and softball, all homegrown right here on this continent. But the oldest of them all? Lacrosse. This fast-paced game was originally played by indigenous tribes across the eastern woodlands and the Great Lakes region. Think modern-day Canada and the northern United States. Back then, it wasn't just a sport, it was spiritual, communal, and epic. Matches could last for days. Today, lacrosse is a major league sport, but its roots run deep in North America's diverse landscapes, from the forests of the Northeast to the wide-open grasslands. Number 11. Did you know that the highest and lowest points in North America are both in the U.S.? The continent's highest point is Denali in Alaska, standing a whopping 6,190 meters tall. That's like stacking 15 Empire State Buildings. Then, at the other end, you've got Death Valley in California's Badwater Basin, sitting 86 meters below sea level on a salty, sun-scorched plain. It's the lowest point on the continent, and stepping onto that cracked earth feels like standing in a giant oven. At number 12, things get even cooler. In California, the highest and lowest points in the contiguous U.S., Mount Whitney and Badwater Basin, are just 137 kilometers apart. Mount Whitney, the tallest peak in the lower 48 states, is just a short road trip away from Badwater Basin. That means you could go from snow-capped peaks to scorching desert in just a couple of hours. It's a road trip that starts in winter and ends in summer, all thanks to the crazy tectonic forces shaping the landscape. Where else can you experience that kind of natural contrast on a single drive? Number 13. Talking about California, did you know that Death Valley holds the record for the hottest temperature ever reliably recorded on Earth? On July 10, 1913, Furnace Creek in Death Valley hit a face-melting 56.7 degrees Celsius. That's not just hot, that's literally fry an egg on a rock hot. The valley's depth, shape, and bone-dry air turn it into a natural oven where even the breeze feels like opening a preheated stove. Number 14. North America isn't all about heat. It also has some of the coldest spots on Earth. Take Snag, Yukon, up in the Canadian wilderness. On February 3, 1947, the temperature there dropped to a bone-shattering -63 degrees Celsius. That's the kind of cold where even your breath freezes mid-air and your eyelashes might just turn into icicles. And if that isn't extreme enough, check this out. North America also holds the record for the biggest temperature swing in a single day. On January 15, 1972, in Loma, Montana, the temperature shot up from -48 degrees Celsius to 9 degrees Celsius. That's crazy, and in just 24 hours. Nature really knows how to keep things unpredictable here. Number 15. Alright, let's step away from the thermometers for a second. Did you know that North America does not have any landlocked countries? Here's a fact that's just plain cool. Every single one of the 23 countries in North America has a coastline. Yep, every single country, from massive Canada with its frozen Arctic shores to the tiniest Caribbean island nations, is lapped by ocean waves. This means no matter where you go on this continent, the sea is never completely out of reach. At number 16. Did you know the border between Canada and the United States holds a world record? Yep, it's the longest international border between two countries on the planet. We're talking about a mind-blowing 8,891 kilometers. That's like driving from New York to Los Angeles and back twice, and still having distance left over. But here's the thing, it's not just one continuous stretch of land. The Canada-US border is a mix of land crossings and maritime borders, stretching across the Pacific, Atlantic, and Arctic Oceans. It winds its way from the eastern tip of Maine, snakes through the Great Lakes, cuts across the prairies, all the way to British Columbia, and then jumps up to separate Alaska from the Yukon. The next time you glance at a map of North America, remember, that long squiggly line is the world champ of borders. Number 17. You've probably heard this one in our previous videos, but it's such a team favorite we just had to bring it back. The Sailing Stones of Death Valley. Picture this, massive rocks, some weighing as much as 316 kilograms, sliding across a flat, dry lake bed called Racetrack Playa, leaving long trails behind them in the cracked mud. And for decades, nobody knew how or why. No one ever caught them moving. Aliens? Ghosts? Nope, it's actually science. Turns out, after a rare winter rain, a thin sheet of ice forms overnight. When it starts melting under the sun, the ice breaks into floating panels that, with a little push from the wind, slowly drag the rocks across the slick, muddy surface. Super slow, super sneaky, but totally natural. Number 18. Now let's head to Nevada's Black Rock Desert, where you'll find Fly Geyser. This thing looks like it belongs on an alien planet, but its origin story? Pure accident. Back in the 1960s, a geothermal company drilled into the earth hunting for energy, hit a pocket of superheated water, and then failed to seal it up properly. The result? Hot water and minerals started gushing out. And over the years, they formed this surreal cone-shaped geyser, with 3 colorful spouts that shoot steaming water several feet into the air. But the colors? They're not just minerals. They're thanks to thermophilic algae, microorganisms that love hot water and paint the geyser in trippy hues. Nature took a human mistake and turned it into a living art piece. Pretty impressive. Number 19. If you ever find yourself in Yosemite National Park in February, keep your eyes peeled for the Yosemite Firefall. No, it's not actual fire, but it sure looks like it. When the snowmelt feeds Horsetail Fall and the sunset hits at just the right angle, the waterfall glows bright orange and red, looking like molten lava cascading down the side of El Capitan. People travel from all over the world just to catch this 2-week magic window. And when you see it in person, it's like the mountain itself decided to put on a light show just for you. Number 20. Ever been to New York City? Well, fun fact, it wasn't always called that. Before the skyscrapers, Broadway shows, and yellow cabs, it was actually a Dutch settlement called New Amsterdam. Back in the early 1600s, the Dutch set up shop on Manhattan Island, using it as a trading post. But in 1664, the British rolled in, took over without even firing a shot, and renamed it New York, in honor of the Duke of York. That's also why we have names like New England, New Jersey, and even New Sweden. Apparently, when Europeans crossed the sea, their first order of business was renaming everything after home. Number 21. Let's talk about food, because who doesn't love food? Some of your favorite treats actually trace their roots back to North America. For example, chocolate. Yeah, that delicious melty goodness was first crafted by the Maya and the Aztecs from cacao beans. They didn't make candy bars, but they definitely knew how to work their coca. Then there's peanut butter, which has an ancient Aztec cousin, but the modern stuff that was patented by a Canadian, Marcellus Gilmore Edson, in Montreal in 1884. And if you've ever had a chocolate chip cookie, thank Ruth Graves Wakefield for that happy accident. She whipped them up in 1938 at the Toll House Inn in Massachusetts, when she tossed in chunks of chocolate, expecting them to melt. But instead, they stayed all gooey and amazing. And the world was forever changed. Number 22. Have you ever heard of Mexico's cenote? If you're on the Yucatan Peninsula, you'll find thousands of them. These are natural sinkholes that open up into underground rivers and caves. Crystal clear water, hanging vines, and sunlight beaming down like a spotlight from nature itself. The Yucatan is basically Swiss cheese under the surface. It's all limestone, and when parts of that limestone ceiling collapse, you get these magical pools. The ancient Maya didn't just treat them as swimming spots, they believed cenote were the gateways to the underworld, and even performed rituals and sacrifices there. With over 6,000 cenotes scattered across the region, each one feels like a secret portal. Number 23. Another fact that'll have you raising your eyebrows is that about 90% of Canadians live within just 160 kilometers of the US border. Despite Canada being the second largest country on Earth, almost everyone's huddled near the southern edge. Meanwhile, the northern part of the country is mostly wide-open wilderness, including the massive boreal forest, the largest untouched forest on the planet. Imagine having all that extra space. It's one of the reasons Canada feels cozy despite being absolutely gigantic. I mean, who needs all that extra space when you've got good company near the border? At number 24 is Central America's wild biodiversity jackpot. Central America still exists. It is the southernmost region of the North American continent, comprising the countries of Belize, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Panama. Central America holds a staggering 7% of the world's biodiversity, all packed into just 0.5% of Earth's landmass. And here's why. About 3 million years ago, Central America formed as a land bridge connecting North and South America, creating a natural superhighway for animals and plants to move between the continents. This event, known as the Great American Biotic Interchange, sparked a massive mixing of species from both sides, leading to evolution and an explosion of biodiversity in the region. Today, Central America is teeming with life. Over 17,000 plant species and around 1,120 types of birds call it home. Basically, if you're a wildlife lover, this is paradise. Number 25. The Caribbean isn't just about sunny beaches and rum, it's a biodiversity hotspot too, thanks to its 7,000+ islands, islets, and cays. This isolation has led to species evolving that you won't find anywhere else on Earth. We're talking about 13,000 endemic species of plants and animals. Plus, the Caribbean boasts 10% of the world's coral reefs, including the epic Mesoamerican Barrier Reef System, the second largest in the world. It stretches along Mexico, Belize, Guatemala, and Honduras, and it's a vital home for creatures like endangered sea turtles and manatees. Basically, it's an underwater metropolis that's teeming with life. Number 26. Have you ever heard of the pygmy three-toed sloth? It's the world's most endangered sloth. And guess where it lives? On a tiny uninhabited island off the coast of Panama called Isla Escudo de Veragües. This adorable little sloth is much smaller than its mainland cousins and has adapted to living in dense mangrove forests. But here's the catch. It lives nowhere else on Earth. That means its entire species is confined to this one little island, making it critically endangered. One bad storm or ecological disruption could spell disaster, which is why conservation efforts here are crucial. Number 27. Next up, the monarch butterfly, the MVP of epic migrations. Every year, monarchs travel up to 4,828 kilometers from Canada and the US all the way to a tiny spot in central Mexico. What's wild is that it takes multiple generations to complete this journey. the butterflies that start the trip aren't the ones that finish it. By the time they reach the Yosemite fir forests in Mexico, it's the great-grandkids of the original travelers who arrive. And when it's time to head back north, another fresh generation takes over. It's like nature's version of a family road trip, except nobody actually makes the full round trip. Number 28. A lot of people think the Maya civilization just vanished. Nope, that's a myth. While some of their ancient cities were abandoned around 900 AD, the Maya people are still very much around today in places like Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, Guatemala, Belize, El Salvador, and Honduras. Millions of Maya descendants still live, speak dozens of Mayan languages, and practice cultural traditions passed down through generations. So no, the Maya didn't disappear. They evolved, adapted, and carried their legacy forward. History books take note. Number 29. Did you know the Olmecs, the same ancient civilization famous for those giant stone heads, were also called the Rubber People? And not just because they liked the name. These folks, who thrived along Mexico's Gulf Coast between 1600 and 400 BCE, were the first to figure out how to harvest latex from rubber trees and actually process it into usable rubber. That's right, they literally made rubber before it was cool. And while they were at it, they're also credited with inventing the famous Mesoamerican ball game. Picture this: a heavy, solid rubber ball, a massive stone court, and a game so intense that it became a ritual sport for later cultures like the Maya and the Aztecs. Talk about legacy. Number 30. Now for a size check. Canada may be known as America's quiet neighbor, but it's actually the true giant of North America. With a whopping size of 9.97 million square kilometers, Canada holds the title of the largest country in North America and ranks second globally, coming right after Russia. That's nearly half of North America wrapped up in one country. But here's the twist. Despite all of that space, Canada's population is only around 41 million people. That leaves vast stretches of the country wide open and mostly untouched. More forests, wild landscapes, and beautiful lakes than you'll find almost anywhere else on Earth. So next time you think of Canada, don't just picture maple syrup and Mounties. Think massive. Number 31. You've probably heard the name America a million times, but have you ever wondered where it actually came from? Spoiler alert, not Columbus. In fact, Christopher Columbus went to his grave thinking he'd found a new route to Asia. The real credit goes to an Italian explorer and map geek named Amerigo Vespucci. After exploring the new lands, he was like, "Hey guys, this isn't Asia. This is a whole new continent." A German cartographer named Martin Waldseemüller thought that was pretty smart. So when he made a world map in 1507, he slapped the name America on it in Vespucci's honor. First, it stuck to South America, then North America. And that's how an Italian explorer's first name ended up branding the entire country. The Bay of Fundy in Canada comes up at number 32. This isn't just any bay. It's home to the highest tides on Earth. Located between New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, the tides here can rise and fall by over 40 feet, which is like watching a 4-story building appear and disappear twice a day. And we're not talking a little splash of water. Over 100 billion tons of seawater move in and out daily. That's more than the combined flow of all the world's rivers. These powerful tides have sculpted the famous flower pot rocks and create mind-bending views where boats can sit on dry ground one moment and float the next. Number 33. Guatemala isn't just famous for its vibrant culture and ancient Mayan ruins. It's also a hotspot for volcanoes, and we mean a lot of them. The country is home to over 30 volcanoes, dotting the landscape with towering giants and craggy peaks. But the crown jewel? That would be Volcano Tajumulco. This beast stands at a staggering 4,202 meters, making it the highest point not just in Guatemala, but in the entire Central America region. While most of these volcanoes are now dormant, there are only 3 active volcanoes that occasionally spew ash and lava. What's even cooler? The volcanoes have shaped not just the landscape, but also the way people live, from the rich volcanic soil that makes the region perfect for coffee farming to the unique ecosystems that thrive around these giants. Number 34. Did you know Canada has a lake that literally looks polka-dotted? Hidden away in the Okanagan Valley of British Columbia is Spotted Lake, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's packed with minerals like magnesium sulfate, calcium, and sodium sulfate. But here's where it gets weird. During the hot summer months, a lot of the water evaporates, and what's left behind are hundreds of big, colorful spots made from mineral deposits. Depending on the mineral concentration, these spots can turn green, blue, or yellow, making the whole place look like a giant natural paint palette. At number 35 is the frozen waterfalls of Oaxaca. In Mexico, you'll find something that looks like a magic trick frozen in time: petrified waterfalls. In Oaxaca, there's a place called Hierba el Agua, which literally translates to "the water boils." But don't expect bubbling hot springs. Instead, you'll see two massive rock formations cascading down a cliffside like frozen waterfalls. These aren't made of ice, though. They're built from minerals, specifically calcium carbonate, deposited over thousands of years. And the best part? You can swim in the natural pools sitting at the top of these formations while taking in sweeping views of the Mexican highlands. Nature spa day, anyone? So, there you have it. Which of these mind-blowing facts about North America surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss out on more mind-blowing geography facts.